you ever wondered how pianists make their music sound so beautiful? Being able to play musically and with expression is something all players strive for, and today I'm going to show you exactly how. In this video, I'll share 5 techniques you need to know to start playing all of your music with expert expression. The first technique you need to know is how to shape your phrases. A phrase or a musical sentence is usually about 4 bars long, and it expresses a complete musical idea. In order to shape a phrase musically, you want to grow a little bit in volume in the middle of the phrase and then come down at the end, so the volume of the phrase will not stay the same throughout the entire thing, but instead will have a nice arcing shape and sound. You can practice phrase shaping in a variety of different ways, but an easy way to do it without playing the notes of your song is just to practice using a C major scale. Start by trying to add some volume or crescendo to the notes that are moving up. You'll reach the highest dynamic level at the top, and then on the way down, start at that louder dynamic level and slowly taper it back off until you get back to your starting note. I'm going to demonstrate the concept of phrase shaping for you using some music, and in this case we're going to use Rondo, Alla, Turca, or the Turkish March by Mozart. The first time I play the phrase will have no shaping at all, and the second time I play it through, I'm going to put in the arc in the middle and come up in volume and then taper it off at the end. See if you can hear the difference. The second technique you need to know to play with musical expression is how to add variation to your playing. Variation is important, especially with all the repetition that can be found in different music. By changing up some of the ways you play this repeated material, it can add variety and interest to your playing and prevent it from sounding flat. Take a look in the music that you're playing for parts that are repeated one after the other. And keep in mind that you don't want all of those repeated sections to sound the same. So it's best to change them in some way. The easiest way to change them is to play them louder or softer. So instead of playing those strings of repeated notes the same each time, the second time I played each set, it was softer and sounded like an echo. This is probably the easiest way to add variation to your playing. I'm going to give you an example of adding this type of variation using the example of the Rondo alla Turca again. Listen for how the music repeats itself, and the first time I play it through, I will play it with absolutely no variation. The second time I play it through, I will add some of those echoes in and see how it adds dimension and interest to the playing. The third technique you need to know to add expression to your playing is how to play with arm weight. This is especially important when playing louder passages of music and larger chords and octaves. Playing with proper arm weight will allow your playing to sound pleasantly loud. So instead of sounding harsh or hard on the ears, it's going to have just a beautiful, rich tone to it. This takes a little bit of practice, but I'm going to show you an easy way to get started. When you get to parts of your music that have a louder dynamic marking, instead of thinking of playing loudly just with your hands and hitting the keys harder, instead you want to think more about sinking down into the key. Watch as I play the notes with enough force to have a louder dynamic sound, but instead of stopping my hand when I hit the bottom of the key bed, I'm going to let my wrist and hand sink down a little bit, using my arm weight. Practice playing into the keys in this way and dropping your hand and letting your wrist be flexible. Let's go back to the Rondo alla Turca to demonstrate arm weight. Rondo alla Turca has a lot of large chords and big sounds near the end of the movement. And I'm going to play the very end for you, first with no arm weight and the second time using arm weight. Again, listen for the difference and see which one has a nicer sound. Let's move on to the fourth technique you need to know to play with more musical expression, and that is rubato. And if you're not familiar with the word rubato, it's an Italian musical term that means robbed time. And it simply means to play with a little bit more push and pull. Adding rubato is very similar to phrase shaping. So when the phrase comes up near the middle, you're probably going to add a little bit more rubato, and then you'll probably pull that back when the phrase tapers off. I'm going to demonstrate rubato using the song Clair de Lune by Debussy. I'll play part of the opening of Clair de Lune first without any rubato. It might sound a little bit flat, and I'm going to keep it just in regular, strict time. And the second time I play the phrase through, I will add the rubato for you to compare. And try to notice how it adds just another dimension to that expressive playing. I would love to know if you've played with rubato before. If not, is this the first time you've heard of playing with rubato? Maybe you've noticed it in music before but didn't know that it had a name. Please let me know in the comments. I love reading them. The fifth technique you need to add musical expression to your playing is learning how to taper. Tapering means exactly what it sounds like. When you have two notes that are connected together, it's usually best to taper off the last one or play it with a little bit less emphasis so that it sounds even more musical, instead of playing it just flat and both notes the same. Tapering off your phrase endings gives a natural place for the music to breathe and adds that musicality before starting on the next phrase. Play two notes, and on the first note you're going to play down into the key bed, just like we talked about earlier with the arm weight, and on the second note you're going to think up, and this will lighten up the second note and taper it off beautifully. Let's take a listen to this tapering technique, again using Clair de Lune as an example. I want to leave you with one final bonus tip, and that is to always think about what the music is trying to say. And if you try to connect with your music and really convey the emotion that is contained within those notes, it's going to add so much to your own personal expression of that piece. If you enjoyed the arrangements of Rondo alla Turca and Clair de Lune that I played today, I will be sure to leave a link to the sheet music down in the description. And if you're looking for more ways to easily boost your musicianship skills without spending hours a day practicing, check out my Musicianship Boost series right here.